Okay, I don't even know where to begin in this video. This is awesome. As a Broncos fan, I don't even. Oh, this is so awesome because I mean we've. This is the first time I feel like we've really had a franchise quarterback since Peyton Manning retired. Like it's not even been close. The best quarterback Denver's had since Manning was probably Trevor Simeon, and at best he was probably like what the 20th best quarterback. Probably that's probably being generous, but Russell Wilson is a legit top 10. Well, I believe top five quarterback. I mean, I'd probably have Rodgers, Mahomes above him, but I mean, I think this is one of the best offenses he's had to work with. I mean, as a Denver fan, I'm going to be realistic. I don't think we have the best O line. I think we've got about an average O line, but I think we've got a great receiver core. It was unfortunate to lose Fant. I think Fant was really good, and Shelby. I'll go over the players in a little bit, but yeah, it was unfortunate to lose Fant. So I know the channel isn't mainly sports, but with me being a Broncos fan and something crazy as this, I'm gonna make a video, and I think I'll do an NFL mock draft too, just because that's so fun to do for me. I mean, it probably would have been more fun when Denver had a top 10 pick. And I mean, I'm not sure pick 9 got traded just yet, but I'm pretty sure pick 9 is going to be in the deal. And I was going to make a video on the Hackett signing, and it just didn't come out the way I wanted it to, and then I didn't feel like recording it again. I'd already recorded it like 3 times, so I just ended up not releasing the video. But I thought the Hackett signing was really good, and I even said in that video, I said, even if we don't get Rodgers, I think the signing was a good signing, but it would look great if we did get Rodgers. So, missing out on Rodgers, I'll be honest, I was kind of disappointed when I saw that Rodgers re-signed. But I found out a little late because I was taking the ACT at school today and we had to like have our phones powered off and stuff. So I was a little late to finding the Rodgers news. But one person who I think summed up this whole day pretty accurately, Jerry Jeudy. Well, I mean, if you didn't see his tweets, it was pretty accurate on the emoji after Aaron Rodgers re-signed, and then the emoji or whatever he put, like we lit or something after the Wilson trade. And I mean, I guess Wilson could end up rejecting the trade, but I doubt it'll happen. Or a physical, something could mess it up. But it looks like Russell Wilson is going to be a Denver Bronco. I did hear a report, though, that Washington was very heavy in the quarterback room and also had a really big offer to Seattle. But apparently it didn't get accepted for some reason. Either they didn't want to trade him in division, or it just wasn't as good as the Denver offer, or Wilson didn't want to go to Washington. But Washington did have a pretty good offer, I believe, for Wilson as well. And Washington, if the Watson stuff clears up, I think Washington will get him now, or Philadelphia. Both those teams, I would be on high alert for Watson. And one reason I actually glad that they got Wilson over Rodgers is he's quite a bit younger. I don't think he's 10 years younger, but he's closer to 10 years younger than. I think he's 8 years is what I heard. That sounds about right because he was a couple drafts, well, a little bit more than a couple. But since Wilson realistically could play 10 more years if he wanted to, I think. I mean, he would be older, but I mean, Tom Brady did it, so. And I mean, I don't think Russell Wilson's as good as Tom Brady. But I do think Russell Wilson is a great player. And speaking of some of the other quarterbacks in the quarterback rumors, like I mentioned, I did prefer Wilson to Rodgers just because of the age. But out of like the big 3 quarterback rumors, Wilson, Rodgers, and Watson, if Watson's stuff was cleared, Watson was probably my QB1 just because of the age. Because really, those 3 I think are all top 10 quarterbacks pretty easily. So pretty much just whichever's younger and you can get for the longest would have been my preference. And since Watson's got his allegations, Wilson really probably was my QB1 of the potential Denver candidates. Just because, I mean, Wilson realistically we could have for at least 5 or 6 years longer than we would have had Rodgers. But I will say there is one quarterback in this draft that since I'm a Broncos fan and I've been looking a lot into the draft. I mean, I've been looking at corner prospects. I really like Derek Stingley and Sauce Gardner. Been looking at the edges. And then I've obviously been looking at the quarterback, and I've really gone to like Malik Willis. I think if there is a franchise quarterback in this draft, it is Malik Willis. So Pittsburgh fans, you might be sad that you didn't get Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, but if you get Malik Willis, I would be very happy. Uh, I think it's actually a good trade for both sides. I mean, I think Denver walks out with an A plus if we're grading it because I did have to give up a decent bit, but to get a quarterback of Russell Wilson's caliber and what this team has had to deal with, and what like Denver's already a really talented roster, so losing a few role players, and that's kind of being mean to Fant. He's better than just a role player, but losing a few okay players or role players to good players for a guy that's as talented, skilled, as good as Russell Wilson is a complete A plus for Denver. And I think the trade ended up being Wilson and a fourth for a fifth, two first, 2 seconds, Noah Fant, Drew Lock, and Shelby Harris. So if I was to grade it for Seattle, I'd probably give it like a B. Yeah, probably a B, just because, I mean, you're losing Russell Wilson, but if you're actually entering a rebuild, it probably is a higher grade, but they're trying to stay competitive still, then it's, I'll say this, if they're trying to stay competitive still, it's probably like a C+, but if they're trying to actually rebuild, then it's like a A-, in my opinion. Because getting 2 first is big, but personally, I would have rather probably just got like 3 first, and probably I would have tried to pull Judy from Denver, and I'm so glad Judy didn't get traded. I was so worried that Judy was going to be a piece in whatever trade Denver got for a quarterback. But Fant is a really good young tight end. I think Denver's fine, though, since they got Albert Ockel. We'll just say Alberto, because his last name, I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, I think Denver is fine at tight end. I honestly thought they would have traded one of the receivers, though, because Denver is loaded at the receiver. KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. I figured at least one of those 4 would have got traded. But considering Denver was able to keep all 4, they could go 4 wideouts at someplace, and it will be very, very exciting. Because they're all different. Tim Patrick's just a great receiver. He barely drops anything. Cortland Sutton's a big vertical threat who's super athletic. Jeudy is a crazy, crazy route runner. Could be the best route runner in the league in a few years. I actually was worried that Denver would trade him for Devontae Adams because I think he's got Devontae Adams caliber potential. And I mean, that might be me being biased, but I truly believe Jerry Jeudy has some huge potential. And then KJ Hamler, a pure speedster. I don't think he's like a Tyreek Hill, he is almost Tyreek Hill fast, but I don't think he's a Tyreek Hill caliber of player, but I do think he could be a really good player since we haven't really got to see KJ's full potential since he's been hurt a lot. And I do think Shelby Harris will be good for Seattle. He's a really good locker room guy. He's good on the field, but he's definitely does more for the team than just what he does on the field. And Drew Lock might end up being something for Pete Carroll in Seattle. I don't realistically. I think this is what I've always thought about Drew Lock. You could turn him into a top 15 quarterback at the very best. Realistically, he's probably somewhere between 25 and 20. You could get him a little higher than that, but I just don't think Drew Lock is that good. I've been on the camp that's wanted to move on from Drew Lock since last year, pretty much. I wanted to draft a quarterback last year. Knowing now what I know now, I'm glad they didn't because we have Russell Wilson, but I was not the biggest Drew Lock fan. And I hope Drew Lock does be good. I'm not a Drew Lock hater or anything, but I'm personally glad to move on from Drew Lock. But hopefully he ends up being good for Seattle. Some other things I will say. There's still a lot of cap space in Denver, and there is one free agent that I'll talk about at the end of the video that I could realistically see coming to Denver. I already mentioned that I'm really excited for the receiver core. And I have a lot of Jerry Jeudy cards, so if Jerry Jeudy ends up being the next Devontae Adams, I will not be sad at all. I will be very, very happy, in fact. And one last thing I want to talk about, this is one thing that came up yesterday, was all the Von Miller stuff. Von Miller I think he put it on Twitter too, but I know he put it on Instagram, all the stuff like 58 or 40 in orange and blue. And this was before Russell Wilson was coming. So if Von already wanted to come to Denver before we had Russell Wilson, adding Russell Wilson to the mix, I think Von's coming back to Denver. I don't think Von Miller does not seem like the type of guy who would do all that stuff and just go back to the Rams. I mean, he could, and I wouldn't be mad at him if he didn't come back. But I do think there's a really good chance that he does come back. I would probably say it's between 60 to 70% chance he comes back to Denver with the Russell Wilson trade. Pre-Russell Wilson trade, after all the Instagram stuff, I would say it's about 50-50. And before all the Instagram stuff, I would have said 70% Rams, 30% Broncos. But now that he's put all the stuff on Instagram and the type of player Von Miller is and how much love he's always shown for Denver, even like during the Super Bowl. He was talking about Demaryius Thomas and the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, and the Broncos during the Super Bowl. So I always thought there was a good chance he would come back, but based off the stuff he's put on Instagram lately, and based on the Russell Wilson trade, I predict that Von Miller is coming back to Denver. So this was such a great day for me. This and a big Funko thing came for me, will ship today, which I will mention in another video today. But this was an awesome day for me. So I'm just so glad to finally have this quarterback situation dealt with and for it to be a legit superstar. Oh, this is so exciting as a Broncos fan. Even if we don't win a Super Bowl, just to be a playoff team again is going to be awesome. Because I don't think there's a chance this team doesn't make the playoffs. I understand the AFC West is a tough division. We've said it all. That was the one thing people always said about the Aaron Rodgers trade. I don't know if Rodgers wants to play in the AFC West. Wilson was playing in the NFC West, which was arguably the best division pre this trade. I think the AFC West is the best division in the NFL now. The Chargers, great young up and coming team. A few holes on the team, and Derwin James when he plays is one of the best safeties in the league. It's just he's hurt a lot. The Raiders, I'm not super high on the Raiders, but I mean they made the playoffs, so got to give them that. And then you got the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I mean I think it's Patrick Mahomes. That's all you got to say. So I understand the AFC West is tough, but Russell Wilson's coming from the NFC West, which is a pretty tough division as well. So thank you all so much for watching. And I hope if you're a Broncos fan, you're as excited as me. And I understand some people were actually sad about the trade since we lost, like Noah Fant. Some people were sad about Drew Lock, not me. I mean, I'm kind of sad about losing Fant and Shelby, but Drew Lock, good riddance. I do hope he ends up being good in Seattle, but yeah, I don't expect him to be anything crazy. But I am pumped to have Russell Wilson as a Bronco. And I think that's a great way to close up the video. So go Broncos.